Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Liz and this is Let's Get Lizical, where we do everything card making. And today is the second video for my hashtag holiday card hijinks 2025 prompt. And the prompt for this month was Christmas critters. So we're going to be using a Sunny Studio stamp set called Warm Wishes Reindeer, I think. I'll link it in the description down below, and I'm using Merry Messages from Lawn Fawn, and we are doing a true one layer card. And I'm going to be coloring on some craft cardstock for today. I decided to do it in two options, so I'm doing the exact same card, but it's going to look different because I'm using the two different colored craft cardstocks. So I'm using Michael's Recollection 65-pound craft cardstock for the darker one, and the lighter one is actually Nina Desert Storm 80-pound cardstock, and you'll see the difference between them. I know some people prefer one over the other. I think for me it depends on the card and what colors you're using. For coloring, I found that I did like the Desert Storm a bit better just because the color is obviously lighter, so the colors on the card itself actually show up a bit better, but I like the craft cardstock as well. It's just like a different look. And I also decided to keep those Prismacolor pencil crayons for this purpose because I forgot you can't do this with Crayolas. It would be extremely hard to color with Crayolas on this just because they aren't pigmented enough and they're not as waxy as the Prismacolors are. So you definitely need something like a Prismacolor, or I think probably Chromos or Faber-Castell, to do this type of coloring on craft cardstock, and it works a lot better. You could try it. I don't think I've even tried it with Crayolas because I know they're not pigmented enough. So, you know, if you want to do certain colors, just color with some swatches. Maybe something like the pastels and the neons might look better, but I find it's just easier to use these ones because they kind of like, they're a bit more, like I said, pigmented and more opaque. That being said, I do try to avoid the lines as much as possible. I am going to re-stamp these like I normally do, but because the pencil crayons are waxy, sometimes if you get too much of it over the lines, it doesn't really soak in with the pencil crayon on top of it. It kind of just like sits there. And you could definitely switch inks if you wanted to, I guess. Maybe something like a VersaFine. Or what I was going to do originally was I was going to stamp these in black, heat emboss in clear on top because I don't have any black embossing powder. I've heard that stuff's a nightmare, and just decided to, you know, if any time I wanted that look or that technique done with any other color, I would just have the inks to stamp and then do it with clear afterwards. That also helps, you know, avoid having to have embossing powders for all the colors, and you can just use your inks. But because I'm doing this as a one layer card, I didn't want to warp the card front with it, so I decided not to do that and just stamp this with my regular Lawn Fawn black licorice ink, which is what I normally use for my regular stamping. And yeah, so that's what I've decided to do for today. I am using the same exact colors on both of these cards, which is why I left them out. I decided to, again, just show you like an apples to apples comparison. I didn't want to change up the colors and be like, well, this works, but this doesn't, kind of thing. So I am using the exact same colors on both of these cards. And again, I do like them both, but I think I like the Desert Storm one better. This cardstock has its purposes, but I do prefer the Desert Storm. For the first one, though, with the Michael's Craft cardstock, I ended up not really coloring in the reindeer itself just because the cardstock was so, like, brown in color. So I just kind of, like, went through with the shading. Whereas on this card, I'm going to very lightly add color to the entire reindeer. I started off doing it just with the shading, then I was like, you know what? This cardstock is a little too light just to leave it as is. You definitely could if you want, but like reindeer aren't generally that light in color. So I decided towards the end, I think, that I would just, you know, do a very, very light just overall color. It's another reason why I kind of like pencil crayons, because you can get so many different like shades of it just by adding more layers or more pressure, and it's a lot easier to make more smooth blends sometimes than markers. And I like the texture that it gives. It's just like a very, I don't know, like it does give it that like homemade, I did this as a project kind of feel, but I do like love that. And I might make more of these for this Christmas, just because I want to, start coloring with pencil crayons a little more often. And like I've said before, you can definitely, if you wanted to, put like a layer of the alcohol ink down first and then use your pencil crayons just for the texture. And you could do this on this cardstock as well, but it would not be a one layer card because it will soak through the cardstock, and so you'll want to do it on a matte layer. But you could cut the Desert Storm and then put it onto a white card base so that the inside of your card is white, which would be fine. For the craft one as well, I added like a little 4 by 5.25 inch white panel in the, I think it was Michael's Recollections 65 pound in the white. I tend to use that either for inserts in the pouches I keep my stamps in, or I use them for the inside of cards where I don't want to add too much bulk to it, but I do want to add a little bit of weight and heft to it. The 65 pound cardstock is mainly used for layering when I use it, but I find that if I add a piece on the inside, especially because the craft cardstock's a little bit darker, it just gives me somewhere to write. And not that you can't write on this, it's a bit lighter and easier to read. And it just added that little bit of extra strength that this card may have needed. But I have also just done these cards as is, no problem. And I do that with the colors as well. If I want a colored card base, I'll just use the 65 pound for that as well. Though they do have 100 pound cardstocks in their colors as well. I just don't think it's as many colors. And right now I'm just adding some white highlights, and then I decided to add some just like very quick controlled snow with my pen instead of acrylic paint. And those are our cards for this month. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and let me know which one you prefer. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I'd love to have you here. If you'd like to see the prompt list, you can head on over to my Instagram or Facebook and join in on the fun. All the instructions are on it. Thanks, guys. Until next time. Bye.